Hey, me and Matt here, and I'm Killer Kyle. Welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. Matt here, and this is Killer Kyle. Welcome to the last installment of Look Back At. And a look at 1997. Yep. Look back at your special. And, of course, Wheels of Fury. So. Yeah. We started things off with 97's Bash of the Beach. And then Hardcore Heaven. And now we're going to conclude with a double video. First, we're going to do In Your House 15, A Cold Day in Hell, and then we're going to finish things off with 97's One Night Only from across the pond. Oh yes, of course. In the UK. Yes, of course, we talk about it, and then they've been doing a lot of promotions over in England, and because of that, I think NXT UK is a good idea. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they tried to involve other countries into the NXT format. I'm not quite sure. There was talk about Japan, but... And so, I think that I couldn't just think about one. And because I was more of a WWF fan than ECW or WCW, I figured, what the hell. And so, I mean, it could change up the next year that we do. Yeah. And so, anyways, yeah, let's get to it. Yeah. So the first pay-per-view... The first pay-per-view that we're going to look at is... Cold Day in Hell. Cold Day in Hell. Another In Your House pay-per-view that we've done a lot of those over the years. Yes. Or recently, I guess. I don't think it would, but it doesn't matter. It's In Your House 15. And yeah, this is where WWF has started to, I guess, just get into the Attitude Era. They were not there yet, but you can see the wheels turning. Yeah, the wheels are starting to turn there in late 97. And, you know, with the continual improvement and competitiveness from WCW, WWF was like, okay, we need to ramp things up and push through, you know, be on the same level as them, and, you know, be on a different level. And one thing that was always the constant was WCW was trying to do their best to put the WWF out of business. Yes. The WWF's main concern was, how do we keep evolving our product, keep making our product better, make our talent better, attract, you know, keep the audience interested in all this other stuff. And so, that's when things really got interesting, because it was not only ratings war, right, but it was a war of, like, WCW wanting to put WWF out of business, and the WWF was just trying to, you know, better their product. Yeah, for sure.
to talk about is Hurst versus Flash Funk, aka Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah, Too Cold Scorpio. Now, Flash Funk had a very short run with the WWF. I'd say maybe a year, if that. Because he was, on his own for a little while. And then he was doing the Job Squad stuff.
Yeah.
And he did fairly well, but to my recollection, he didn't end up with a championship.
No.
In the WWF.
No. And again, that's kind of a shame, but I think when you look at how WCW wrestlers were treated, or have been treated over the years, Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio was an ECW guy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I know that for a while he did team up with Terry Funk as well.
Right, yeah.
They could have had the tag team championship. I don't know. I didn't look. But anyways, this was a good match. And you saw Hurst but they actually do a lot of knee lifts and shit.
Yeah, before he became the Game, and he was still in that Hurst blue blood phase.
Yes.
He was starting to emulate the knee lifts and the knee drops, and still maintain kind of that unorthodox style. And then, of course, his bread and butter was the pedigree. But then, as he started to transition more into the Game, he became more of the brawler style.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we got him this far. I mean, like we mentioned a year ago or so, 25 years of Triple H being in the business, so I mean, it worked for him.
Oh my god, yeah.
And you talk about taking a character and adapting it and evolving it and into something completely different. And a lot of times when you either change your character a little bit or you go completely away from what your character was to something totally new, it'll either work for you and it'll be successful and you'll have a great career, or it'll flop right out of the gate and you'll have to try and figure things out. Okay, this didn't work, so I'll do this. Okay, this didn't work, I'll do this. And just keep going back and forth until you finally find something that sticks, or you hit the bricks.
Yeah. And the thing, too, is he was a very good heel.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at the Blue Blood and, hitting a wrestler with a move, and then he would do the bow.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to call it. The curtsy. Or, later on do the crotch chop in the corner.
Yeah.
And so, there was a point where he talked about whenever he did a move, and he would go to the turnbuckle and do the crotch chop and whatever, the crowd would boo him. And he loved that so much.
Oh, yeah.
He loved to... And that's what a good professional wrestler does. You want the crowd to react to whatever you're doing. If you're a heel, you want them to boo you. If you're a face, you want them to cheer.
Yeah.
So, and Flash Funk did some pretty good moves as well, and he was a really good high flyer.
Oh, yeah.
But Hunter won with the most devastating pedigree I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
I think back in those days, too, it changed. Like, when he first did the pedigree, it was almost like a cutter. Like a little bit. Not too much. That's what I can think of what comes to mind.
I guess.
Then it changed to what he's known for doing now, except back then it was a bit more effective and, like I said, dangerous.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Hunter Hurst Helmsley won. And I'm sure he got help from Donald Trump's favorite manager, China. So,
Oh, yeah.
poor Joni. Anyways.
And you watch any interview with anybody that has been a heel, they talk about just how much they enjoy it so much. Getting that crowd reaction, just the orchestra of boos and getting people to yelling, "You suck, I hate you," this, that, and the other thing. And, we've said, as long as you're getting a reaction, you're doing your job correctly. When you aren't getting that reaction, that you go, okay, I'm not getting a reaction doing this, so what if I do this? And you just kind of gotta play around with it and do certain things, trial and error, until you get that reaction you want, whether it be you get booed or you get cheered, one way or the other. So now we go on to a match with Rocky Maivia and Mankind.
Yes, this would be one of the first times, I think, that Dwayne Johnson and Mick Foley have had a match together, or in the ring together in general.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, he came in during the Survivor Series in '96.
Yes.
He, of course, took the first name of his dad's name and then the last name of his grandfather. And he had sort of like a interesting gimmick. Of course, then becoming the Intercontinental Champion.
Yes.
And again, another feud that would escalate until 2001 or 2000 at least, with Triple H. And then,
Yeah.
just kind of the fans not perceiving him as a good face and booing the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, later on he would join the Nation of Domination, but still trying to be in his run. Then he got Mick Foley, who came in after, I think it was after WrestleMania 12, beat up Undertaker, have a feud with him. And then this match, this match was very cool itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Rocky Maivia, Rock at this point in time in his career, very good. Had the high-flying aspect about him, the power slams and all this other stuff. And Mankind, we all know, was just this straight-ahead, in-your-face, ass-kicking brawler.
Yeah.
That didn't give a shit about himself or you. He would do whatever he could to inflict punishment on you. And if it meant inflicting punishment on himself, well, he would do that too.
Yeah.
He just didn't care.
And that's the thing, Mick Foley. And then it goes all the way back to Cactus Jack Manson. He gave no shits. He did whatever he did. He was the most violent, the most brutal. You look at everything he did in Japan with Terry Funk and everything else.
The death matches.
The death match, have a guy who got his ear torn off in Germany.
Yep.
Who did the classic Hell in a Cell match. Just a lot of cool shit this guy put himself through to entertain the fans.
Yeah.
But I think he did win this match.
Yes, he did.
So, and it was a good match for what it was. They would have more good matches down the road.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, the famous, infamous Rock and Sock connection.
Yeah.
Them two together, partners, opponents, were just so entertaining to watch.
Oh God, yeah. So now you have a 3-on-1 match, it looks like. You have Ahmed Johnson versus the Nation of Domination.
Yeah. Now, the premise of this match was if Ahmed Johnson was able to defeat 3 members of the Nation of Domination consecutively, then the nation would be forced to separate. It was Crush, it was Savio Vega, and it was Farouk.
Yeah.
Crush was first. I think Ahmed won. Savio Vega got himself disqualified. Then Farouk got in the ring, and of course, he comes out and he's got his arm in a sling, and
Yes.
they said he separated his shoulder, I think, or something. Whatever. So, he gets in the ring, takes his sling off. Him and Ahmed are going back and forth with each other in a decent match. Ahmed gets the Pearl River plunge, but Farouk, I think he had a spine buster or something. Anyways, Farouk ended up winning, so the nation didn't have to split up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and this was interesting too. They changed characters, obviously, but Savio Vega and Crush. And now go on to a few months later, you would have, Charles Wright as Kama Mustafa, and then of course Mark Henry would later join, D'Lo Brown, The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very interesting stable.
Yeah.
When you look at what was going on at the time with the Black Panthers and apartheid and all of that. This was a time where you had Nation of Domination, the Truth Commission, like things that were starting to be more reality based.
Yeah.
You could even throw the Headbangers in there as like a rock team or whatever.
Yeah.
But this was definitely the 90s in a nutshell, I guess. But and you look at Ahmed Johnson, it's not too bad he didn't have a lot more to give.
Yeah.
He just had the first ever African American champion, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Intercontinental champion is what I meant.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really know what the fuck happened, except that I think, there's a rumor he started spewing out about how Steve Austin was racist towards him, which I don't fucking
Yeah, I don't buy that.
know. But anyways, yeah, Nation of Domination, one of the best stables in the 90s. When you look at
sure.
when you look at the former WCW champion, the first African American WCW champion, and Ron Simmons, and you look at Charles Wright, who was Papa Shango, who was the ass kicking machine, and then of course the stuff he did in the 80s, and yeah, just kind of like, and he got D'Lo Brown in the mix and The Rock and all that. So it was a very good tag team, a very good stable, and this was a good match as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Ahmed Johnson would feud with them for a few more months, even having be one of the unofficial members of Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a good match.
For sure. Then you go on to how this came about. I really don't know. The two guys that can definitely go toe to toe with each other and beat the piss out of each other. You got the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, and Vader.
Yeah. I probably already made my rant about Vader. But I still feel like, hell, even Ken Shamrock, they still should have made him WWF champion.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing too, if it weren't for the fucking click, Big Van Vader would have been the WWF champion. But whatever, it is what it is. And this match was good too, and I know that Shamrock was in the zone. And I think there was a point where he tried to suplex Vader.
Yeah.
But Vader, of course, did his Vader bomb or Vader splash.
Right, yeah.
For the win. But
yeah.
Yeah, this was a good match too. And again, Vader, one of those guys that came back in around this time. You know, there was there from like 96 to 98.
Yeah.
And they should have done something with him. But
yeah.
Whatever. And we have our main event. And oh boy, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the WWF Champion, The Undertaker. I'm not quite sure if this is the first time they had a match in WWF. You go all the way back to Dallas Wrestling. In the Sportatorium, you've got Texas Red versus Stunning Steve Austin, or The Punisher versus Stunning Steve Austin. I know they had many a match in Dallas or Texas in general. So these guys were no stranger to each other.
No.
But this was a really good match too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you have the Hart Foundation ringside.
Yeah.
At the start, Austin kind of gets the jump on Taker, but it doesn't really seem to affect Taker too much. And then, you know, you got fairly good match. Taker wins with a tombstone, and you got Hart Foundation jumping in the ring, beating up Taker. Austin goes over the barricade, flips over the wheelchair that Brett's in, grabs a crutch, chases off everybody in the Hart Foundation, and Undertaker follows with a championship, and that's how the show closes.
And this is where I don't know what the fuck they were doing with Brett.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, we're leading into the Montreal screw job, and spoilers, we will talk about that pay-per-view, but this was interesting because you had Austin and Brett in 96 have a feud, and that culminated into Shawn and Brett once again. But just the fact that, Brett got injured, he was in a wheelchair for a while, and to have them front row, and then Austin target Brett on one point, and two of my favorite wrestlers, and just kind of like, it was a really good feud.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. And their classic match at WrestleMania 13 with the blatant switch.
Yeah.
You know, Ken Shamrock being the special guest referee. But this was a pretty solid pay-per-view.
Pretty solid pay-per-view. All the matches across the board were really good matches. Taker and Austin had a fairly good match. And, you know, you got, like, Austin maybe going for the tombstone. Taker reverses. They reverse. Undertaker finally hits the tombstone. Like, okay, yeah, that worked.
But you look at the stars that came out of that. You know, Triple H, Mankind, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course The Undertaker.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys started in 95. We have no idea where they're gonna go in the future. But as it turns out, you know. And I mean, you had Flash Funk, you had like Ken Shamrock, I believe his last appearance was in 2000.
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, and then of course Vader didn't, like we said, didn't last too long in WWE, and a lot until he beat the shit out of Heath Slater years later.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and then, this was a really good show, and I mean, that's kind of what it was like back then, you know. I started getting in later back into WWF wrestling, or wrestling in general.
Yeah.
But this was a very good pay-per-view. And, yeah, no rants.
No. No rants. Fairly good show across the board. This